Welcome to Websites for Beginners. This is JP and this is a video document for Brizy Cloud, and we will be looking on the pop-up and then on-click pop-up within the builder, what that is and how you can set it up. The best way to understand a pop-up on-click or on-click pop-up is to have a look at one, and then you will understand how this works and where you can use it. Here I have a landing page for a new book that the author is selling. And often what authors do, and most people do nowadays, is to put a little video out there promoting the book, or maybe talk about the history of the book, something like that. And what you can do is, where you have this click here to buy, if somebody clicks on this, you have a pop-up that appears with the video from the author, a little bit here, and then maybe the call to action buy button down here. This is on click. So let's do it again so you understand the whole concept of an on click. You are within a page, then there is somewhere on the page that you can click, and as you click on it, hence on click, it opens up the pop-up. So it happens on the page, from within the page. And anything can be displayed in this window. Anything that you can create on this page can be displayed within that pop-up. It's just another form of the builder that acts as a pop-up. And the pop-up is very great to have a little bit more interaction, like this case where you click and then people are surprised with something more. It also engages visitors, luring them, enticing them, encouraging them to take a little bit more action. And people often like that. It feels like they did something. The other thing is you can also have competitions behind it, sign-up lists, or even contact forms, often what I do. And you will see that also in the Brizy Cloud 2021 Essentials video, how I did that. We'll soon dive into how do you create this on-click pop-up, and then also go deeper into the builder, understand what goes where in the builder, how you can situate it around within the screen. I want to show you one thing here though, is that I have this click here to buy, and I click on it, it gives me this pop-up. And then when I scroll down to the bottom, I have another click here to buy, and I click on this, it also gives me this pop-up, and that was achieved with global blocks. So at the end of this tutorial, I'll show you how global blocks work within Brizy Cloud. Let's analyze a few things quickly about this pop-up. This is the background, you can call it the overlay, that appears from your pop-up over the rest of your page. And this can be a color, it can be a background image, but you can see in this case, it's a little bit transparent, so we can still see the background come through. Then the content goes in here, and the content goes within a container that you probably cannot see at this moment. So let's draw one, something like this. And this container is set within the pop-up builder, and you can bring in columns to have more control over that. Then within this container, we have three elements. We have here a video element, and then we have a text element, and then we have a button. And that is your normal builder functions that will achieve all of this. Next is the close button. This one is important. You see up here, this little X in the circle is your close button for the pop-up. With that, you exit the pop-up. But there's also another way to exit it in this case, and that is simply by clicking anywhere on the background. That is useful if people maybe don't have a mouse, or if they're on an iPad or a mobile device and they cannot always find that button, or the button is in a weird place. It's a good idea to allow them to also click somewhere here, and it will exit the pop-up. And that's all we need to know. I'll close this example that we have here. And then from my dashboard, I've already created a website project. This is important to understand, that on-click pop-ups happen within a page. You don't set them up anywhere else. You go into a page, you create a link within that page, and you create the pop-up within that link. Here I have one called on-click pop-up. This is the name of my website. Click on Edit Project, and we go right inside the project. I have already loaded this site here, one landing page, exactly what we will be working with. To access any on-click pop-up setup, you will do that through the link icon. Normally, you will say, okay, a button, and you will see the link icon appears here. But you are not restricted to only this button. anything that can be linked, which includes text. Let's click on this text element. You see the link over here, as well as images. There is the link button again, and then columns as well. If I go to the column, here is the link, and up here, you see the option for pop-up. This is where we create the on-click pop-ups. In most cases, you're probably going to do it with a button like this, but just remember, you are not restricted to the button. It can be an icon, it can be text, it can be image, and of course, I showed you, it can also be a column. If you want a bigger area to be clicked, then you go for a column. Click on the button, click on the link, and we have 4 options that appear here at the top. A normal website address, then you can link it to any other block with the anchor link. Under blocks, on the right, you have the option to upload a file, and then you can choose also to bring in a pop-up. At this moment, the pop-up area is empty. Click on it, and it opens up the pop-up library, the pop-up block library. And what you'll be presented with are all the pop-ups that you can use pre-made ones. And if you are using Brizy Cloud free, some of these may be locked in and it will appear with a little pro label, but there will also be free ones that you can use. If you are at a loss for where you can use pop-ups, go through these pre-made blocks. Have a look at what each one is about. Some of them are about people signing up. Some of them, like this, is about images, having an image gallery that people can access. These guys here, these are all about videos. So you create basically an on-click video. And then you have a few more. To use any of the pre-made blocks, click on it. So let's go to this one here, and it will load it within the pop-up display. Now it has loaded this one. You still need to make changes to it. And to edit it, you simply click on it, and it will open this pre-made pop-up for you. By using a pre-made pop-up, you only need to change out the content. In this case, I'll click here on the video element, go to the video settings, and I'll paste in my link. And that's it. I update it, and I can change some text here, watch our latest, and then even change the button out and set up a link for this button to a block or a file, or you can have another action for it, like close the pop-up. Very nicely done. That once you go into the pop-up builder, the link function also changes by bringing in a custom close. So if you want to say close pop-up, close pop-up, you can do here, and then you simply go to action and activate this trigger, and now it will close it. That's how quickly we had changed it. We'll be building it soon from scratch so that you know how to set the width, how to change the color, how to get this close button to work. But for now, this is how you can work with a pre-made pop-up. Very nice. Update it down here, and then click up here in the top left to go back. And I'm not sure if I should update it again, or the previous update was the page or just the pop-up. So for good measure, just update, which is save, Control Command S again. And let's click here on preview to see how it works on the front end. And click here to buy, and there's a pop-up. And if you click here on this button, close pop-up, ta-da, it closes. So instead of maybe having this X here for closing or the background, you can simply just add your own button to force people to use that button, have them interact a little bit with it, right? But in our case, we want to learn how to build this pop-up from scratch. So we've learned how to use a pre-made one. Close the preview, click here on the button, go to link, pop-up, and here where you see the display of that pre-made we just loaded, click on the X and we're back to square one. Now click again on it and click create your own. First thing is that the pop-up builder will load it, and now you have to click a second time to go and edit it. I want to stress one thing. That one extra click there may seem a little bit tedious, like why do I have to click again? Why doesn't it just open in the editor? But when it comes to Brizy Cloud and the builder within Brizy, there's no other builder on the market that allows you to create this kind of easy to go on-click pop-ups right within a page. Most page builders require you to go and create a template or set up it in the library externally, and then link it internally. So how Brizy does it is really a great joy. Now we have a default empty pop-up block in front of us. And the first thing I want you to take note of is that it's very familiar as to the Brizy Builder with a few changes here and there. On the left in the sidebar, you will see all the buttons that you are used to with on the normal Brizy Builder. If you click here on Add Elements, you're going to find all the elements there. So it's exactly the same thing that you expect. It's just going to make a difference as to how it works here on this page. Click outside to close the drawer. And let's see what we have in terms of content here in the middle. By default, we get 2 columns, and we know they are columns because they have these blue borders around them. And these columns are within a container that you can access with this little gray button in the top left. Now, we can call this a row, or I'll just call it the pop-up container. This is where the content goes within your pop-up. You cannot put anything outside of this container or bring in other containers. It all has to go within this one over here. Click on it to get to the settings toolbar, and the one on the left give us background. So you can bring in an image, and that can be a normal photo, a video, or a map. And then next to that, you have colors. So currently the background color is white. If I switch it to this swatch, you will see how it changes. Blue and white. And you can also reduce the opacity here with this slider if you need a little bit of see-through. You have control for border as well as shadow. Next to that is the settings, more settings, and this is going to give you control over padding, margins, and corner. And you can see these corners are slightly rounded, comes in at a border radius of 6 pixels. So in my case, if you watch my channel, you know I like sharp borders or sharp corners, so I'm going to reduce that to 0. Great. Let's bring in some content. We are going to recreate that kind of video pop-up that we had seen earlier. Remember, you can bring in any element in here. So use your imagination, use your creativity, but also be practical about what you want to put in a pop-up. Don't bring in too many crazy pop-ups. That can also be very distracting. Use them discreetly. I just want one column, so I'll delete one, right-click, and then select delete, and I have my one column. I'll bring in an element, click here on the plus, and the first one I'll look for is the video, and video over here. Click, hold, and drag, and drop it. Click on the video element, go to the video settings, and paste your YouTube or Vimeo link. And I'll be happy with this one. Next, bring in the text. I'll grab a text element, and where I see the thick gray line at the bottom appears, I'll drop it there. Triple click to select everything. Watch my video now. Let's put it in the center, and we'll leave that color there. And finally, we'll bring in our call to action, which is the button. Go to Add Elements, grab the button, click, drag, and drop here. And there's our button. Get more, type in caps, get more. And like before, you can set up where this button will take you. It can either take you, click on the link to another website, to another block within this one, which will be strange. I would rather just stick to the URL, a file that you can download, or close out. I think in most cases, you'll probably want to send it to another page. So let's just go like HTTPS, and I'll call this for my websites for beginners, w4b.io, and then open in a new tab. Just remember, you are within a column, so you can still make changes like you would to a column as well. If you want to bring in color here as well, if you want to apply padding, if you want to bring in another background, all of that can be done within this column. This column acts 100% like it would with any other column if you were using the normal page builder. Go to the settings of the pop-up, and that's up here in the top right corner. So what we're working with here is just one very big block. In the normal Brizy Builder, we use blocks. Here we call just a pop-up, but it's for all intents and purposes, just a big block that pops up onto the screen. Access the settings by clicking on it, and let's see what we've got here. The first one I want to look at is this alignment. This will align it on a vertical axis, which is going to be your Y-axis. You click on it to cycle top, middle, bottom, top, middle, bottom. And that's how you just cycle through the position you want it within the screen of the pop-up. The one next to it is going to align it on an X-axis. So you can play between these two to position them at any spot on the screen you wish it to appear. Let's leave it in the middle. The next thing you will probably want to do is change colors out here, and this is for the overlay in the back. Go here to colors, and you will see we have access for overlay. Again, click here or bring in your own. So if I click here on the swatch, easily change the background to the color we want. And from here, you can also set the opacity. As I'm playing with this opacity, you will notice that there is this shimmer here that appears at the bottom of my content. That means there is some shadow applied to my pop-up canvas. And that means if we go here and select it up here, go to colors and go to shadow, I'll simply grab this opacity slider all the way down to 0 and it disappears. If you need a little bit of that separation from the back, you leave that in there. Just remember, it comes in with that shadow by default. Let's go back to the pop-up settings in the top right corner, go back to color, and let's apply that transparency, put it back on white, reduce the opacity so we can see a little bit of the background, and that's how you're going to be playing around with the color. Same thing that you would do for a block, this time you're just overlaying it onto your page. You can also use an image if you want to. Click outside to close the settings toolbar. And now up here, very faintly, you will see our close button appears. Click on it and this will give you the toolbar to style out the button. Let's change the color first so that we can see it better. And you have the icon, the background of it, as well as a shadow. I'll leave it on white, but then for the background, I will put it on this blue. It's very small at this moment. We'll make it bigger. And also note that you have a hover option over here if you want some kind of hover effect when people hover over the button. This button is way too small, so let's go and change the size of the button first, and that is done over here on the left. And size down here, you can click here on these presets or click on the 3 dots to give you custom control. I'll put it on 32 so it's not too big but still visible and easy to work with, and then select background. And this is where we will expand the size of the background in the back. I'll drag it and you'll see the background gets bigger, basically just applying padding inside. And then let's go for the corner and put it on round. So you get that very typical round little close out button that is very common when working with pop-ups. You have 2 more functions here, and these will allow you to align the button to the top, bottom, left or right, or inside or outside of the pop-up. The inside or outside works like this. If I click on it, now you see that the close button has moved within the frame. Click on it again, and then you can put it again outside. This one is going to cycle it around the container. Next one, we'll put it at the bottom, left, and top left, and back to the top right. And that's everything you can do with it. You also have more control over the exact position. If you go back to icon, you will see lateral and vertical. Lateral, you can move in. And you can extend it beyond this by typing in a value. So if I want it at 100 pixels, I simply type in 100 pixels and it will move it. That's a little bit crazy. So bring it closer. I think it was at 2020 and that's a good setting. And vertical, of course, will give you this on the Y axis. Almost said Z. Did I say Z earlier? I think it's Y axis. Great. Let's try and put that one back at 20. There we go. And this is everything with the close out button. One more thing about the close out button. Go back to the pop-up settings up here and then all the way to the left and notice the close option. Click on that, click outside to close. That's the option I showed you where people can click on the empty canvas and it will close. Display the close button, take it away. Why will you want to take it away? Like if you use this button here instead to be the close button. But if you want to display it, leave it there. And you have the option here to delay. I like this one because it's a little bit sneaky. You want people to spend some time looking at your pop-up and not just close it out as it pops up. And to do that, you just add a little bit of a delay, let's say 3 seconds there, which means that this button will take 3 seconds to appear. Right, so we've created all of this. Let's save it. Click on Update. Go back. I'll click Update again and Preview. Before I click on the button, remember our Close button has a delay. It will only appear after 3 seconds. So watch out for that. Here's our pop-up, everything as we designed it. And there is the Close button. You can click on the canvas or you can click here. And that's it. A few more things. So let's close our preview, jump back, click on the button, link, pop-up, and click on the thumbnail to open it. Do not forget to go and check for your responsiveness, which means how will this pop-up look on a mobile and a tablet? By default, Brizy should allow you to have a very nice one. But in case you want to make some changes, just go and make sure that it will look proper. I click here on the mobile and then tablet, and this will give us how it will look on tablet. There's the tablet in the background, and I think this is fine. And then mobile. Mobile is going to squash it a little bit. Again, I think it's fine. Finally, something we could have tackled at the beginning. What determines the size of this container here? You may be tempted to go to this settings here and then change under more settings your padding and your margin. But it's much easier done and preferable to go up here to your pop-up settings and then settings, and you will find width here. Now here's a strange thing. It's set at 117 pixels, which is not true. It's actually set at 1170 pixels. They don't have enough space there to show us the 0. If you grab the slider and you drag it in, you will see this is how you will be controlling the width of this canvas. And this is preferable. So if you have a size here that you would want to set it at, then rather do it from here. And you can also select percentage. So if I click percentage and put it on 100, it's going to stretch full frame. If you need that, you do that. Otherwise, you bring it down. And let's put it around, I'll type in there 50%. Let's go and check on tablet. You see it's going to be 50%. If we go to the settings of the pop-up, you can make changes here. So I'll increase this to 90%. Let me type in 90. And then we go to mobile. And again, I will change it to 90%. On our mobile and on tablet, it's going to display 90% of the screen width. And then if we jump to desktop, it's going to be 50%. You would have noticed here under settings, you also have feature for the height. You can put it on auto or put in custom height again. And if the content is smaller than the height, then you will have this scroll bar appear here on the right. And then you have the option to also put the height on full height. I think auto is a good one. In most cases, this is going to serve the purpose for you. Super. Let's save it. Control Command S. But now, if I go back, click here. Remember, I also want to use this pop-up for the same button down here. So instead of going into the button link and then creating all of that again, of course, I'm not going to remember it perfectly. How can I just duplicate that pop-up and use it here? The first way is to save the pop-up like you would save a block. Click back on the button, link, pop-up, and open it. And once you've opened it, go to the pop-up settings and select the heart, which is the save button. Now this pop-up has been saved. If I click on go back, scroll to the bottom, click here on the link, pop-up and open it, and go to saved, you will see that that save pop-up will appear here now. Now I can load it in. But there's even something better. If I make this block a global block, it means that any changes I make in the future to one of the pop-ups will also automatically update all the others that are linked to it. I'll close this. Let's go back to that one that we were at. Click on it, link, pop-up, open it, and then from the pop-up settings, go all the way to the left and select Make it Global. Now it's a global pop-up, and you'll know that from this little icon that appears here in the top right corner. Save, Control Command S. Let's go back. Scroll down to the bottom. Click here to buy. Click on the link, pop up, and click on Global Blocks. Here is the global block. This is the pop-up we had created. You don't see the video because in the thumbnail, it's not going to draw that video feed in. But this is the one we had created. Trust me on it. Click on it and you will see it loads it into the pop-up display. And to edit it, click on it again. And here is exactly that pop-up we had created. Because it is a global block, any changes I make here now to it will also affect the others that are linked to it. If I decide, for example, that I want to change the background color here, I go to the top, change the color. Let's say we take this blue, update, go back, click on preview and save maybe first. Preview. Remember, we had made the change to the pop-up that was linked to the button in the bottom, this one. But I'm going to click on this one here and you will see the background is the same blue. That is what a global pop-up or a global block will allow you to do. Any changes to one will affect the other one. The final setting that you can take note of within the pop-up builder in an on-click pop-up is the page scroll behind. Access the pop-up builder again and go to the settings all the way to the left and you will see under pop-up scroll page behind. This will allow your visitor to still scroll the page while the pop-up is displayed. And you will think, who on earth wants to do that? But there are many applications that you may want to do that. For example, if you want this video to be much smaller, and I'll make a few changes here, and then I can position it in the bottom left, and then take out the overlay in the back, make sure that scroll page behind is activated, update, go back, remember you're still in the pop-up builder, click update again, Control Command S, and preview it. Click here to buy, and as I now interact with the pop-up, I can still scroll in the back. There's a lot of application here, for example, menus, flyout menus, and other things that you can do that will work great while the person can still scroll. So remember that cool feature. This is a great way to have a call to action or some commercial pop-up here, and you have it there. It's not that invasive. People can still browse the page, and then by the time they look here, they can decide, okay, let me close this out. Super feature. And that is the on-click pop-up builder within Brizy Cloud. When we're done, you can save everything and exit to the dashboard. This is part 1 of the pop-up builder series. In part 2, we're going to talk about automatic pop-ups. Those pop-ups that just appear. You don't have to click on them. They just come from nowhere. And we do that with conditions and triggers. And in part 3, we're going to talk about this here, pop-ups. These are external pop-ups. How do you create them and what they are good for? From me, JP, go well, stay safe, and see you in the next video.